What's going on, y'all? Welcome to my channel. If this is y'all's first time, if you guys are returning, welcome back to my channel. I'm Real King, back at it again. So I got an interesting video for y'all today, and I had a few ideas that were kind of floating around my mind, and I didn't really know which one I wanted to I was settling on. And so there's a lot of stuff that has been kind of going around the airwaves and stuff like that. And, normally I'm not one to get involved in it and get too caught up in all this stuff, But I figured, some of the stuff it's helpful and necessary information that's really disguised and is kind of it's definitely disguised. It's kind of covered up to make it seem something else. There's hidden messages within what we are seeing and hearing, and it's not exactly what the masses are hearing and understanding. It's actually polar opposite. So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on just in general in this world. And a lot of it has been negative, if not most, just how everything is changing in this world. And so, yeah, you guys already know that I'm, in the process of traveling. And so questions get brought up, from others in statements, well, why, are you choosing to go out of the country? Why can't you just go to another state, go to the East Coast, whatever? And, obviously for me, it's bigger than, it's about the country itself. And it's not a matter of running from, problems and this and that, but I do believe you can pick your battles for the most part. There's issues, personal issues here in this country that I just don't care for. And a lot of people, believe it or not, there's a lot of Americans, both young and old, and of different shades, and of different money brackets, even higher in money brackets, are just dipping. They're leaving this country. Some are going to European countries. Some are going to the Asian countries. Some are going to South America. There's a lot of these places that people are going to, but nevertheless, Americans are leaving America for various of reasons. And so I would be falling into that same statistics or category of people from America that are leaving. And so I just kind of, I've outweighed all of my options. And, I've been talking to some people and other, just some people, period. And just voicing my concerns and my ideas, And, they have their own, things to say about it and stuff like that. But I just, like I said, I've been thinking about a lot of stuff's going on. And I don't follow a lot of what I call garbage. I'm not into the religion, not into politics or anything like that. But I'm aware of what's going on. I'm not an idiot. But it's just, I don't get involved with that kind of stuff. But interestingly enough, a lot of what's going on in the media has to do with things that I am involved with, and I take them as signs or warnings, or cautions. And so I don't believe, I have a lot of very strong opinions about, America as a person who is born in this country. And as things have changed to the worse in this world, America is unraveling. There's just a lot of mess going on with the sports, specifically the NBA / the WNBA. There's a lot of garbage going on, and that's falling apart. That's part of America. You have controversy in the entertainment field with what I heard recently was the BET Awards, and some chick, I believe, I don't know who she is, but some chick got the award for best gospel album or song or something like that, and she's not even I think she's a hip hop, or she calls herself, hip hop artist or something like that. But that is stirring up a lot of controversy, You have all of the stuff going on in the media with, actors in these movies, and all this racism and this hatred and all that garbage is going on. And I'm just like, dang, this is crazy. What's going, we're at our all-time worst right now. Of course, the price of everything here in America is just insane. What's not is the financial. No, it's not. See, that's a problem, y'all. That's a problem here in America. And it's interesting when you talk to people in the countries, talking to this person in Brazil, and it's comparing apples to oranges, obviously, and it's insane because, you see places like Brazil, South America on TV and in movies, and to know somebody from there, it's real. The struggle is definitely real. And so what I've come to realize is, every country has its struggles. Granted, America is considered one of the more richer countries. We're supposed to be more advanced and this and that. So, and for the longest, things in America really mattered. It had some weight behind it, stood for something. And one of the main things, this was the economy. We had one of the strongest economies in the world. But that has definitely not been the case, especially lately. And so, even though, to places that are like, I don't know, third world countries or, low end poverty, majority poverty places, their struggle is a lot different than I would say American struggles. And so even though I am an American and I feel that I struggle in this country and have been forever, it seems, it's still, there's other places in this world where it's a lot worse. I do get that. I do understand that. But I also understand that if I can get myself out of ruts, if I can, bite the bullet and just put my nose to the grind and get my, I was not fortunate to have people growing up, that helped me out along the way like that. For whatever reason, whether I brought it onto myself, burnt bridges or whatever, or, whatever the situation was, I just didn't. And so I've learned basically, look, no one's really going to help me. And if they are, it's going to be very limited. And so I need more than what I may get or may not get. So if in being that no one else was helping me, then who else? Myself. What that meant is I had to do a lot of sacrifice and I had to give things up to allow things to happen for myself. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Especially when you're not taught these things at any point in your life. So then what template are you going to use? Based off of what? Who taught you this? Like, how do you know? So you have to force yourself to figure these things out. And that means making mistakes. Some are costlier than others. Some take longer to to fix. But you don't focus on those things. You focus on the positive of that. And in doing so, before you know it, things work themselves out and they get better. But it's not easy. It is as easy as you make it, though. And you can make it easier for yourself. So some sacrifices like I have done in my life leading up to now. I had told some people I was going to be going to Brazil, and many times I should have been there already. And when I thought about it, 'cause I was just talking to somebody recently, a couple of days ago, they're like, "Well, I thought you was already in Brazil." I was like, "No." And I didn't feel bad about my situation, because I'm like, well, the thing is, and I explained to them, I'm like, well, I don't think I explained to them. I was talking to one of my buddies at the park. I was like, look, I said, some people don't really understand, how difficult it is to do something here in America. Like, everything changed. I'm like, look, you may have in your mind that you want to do this, but there are certain things that you have no control of, and you at the mercy of other people to help you in this, in your achievements that you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Your goals that you're trying to set for yourself. You can't just pay your own self. So that's not how that works. And so I'm just like, because we had the same kind of trials and tribulations that we were going through. And, it's like, look, on the surface, yeah, I've had some nice, good jobs. They have been not too hard. Some of these have been, they paid good, but it's not always what's on the surface that matters. And so you tend to make what I would consider are those sacrifices. And those are the hard decisions. Like, look, I understand what this job market is. I understand nothing is guaranteed. I understand so much. But in order for me to keep my sanity and to get where I really want to be at and get, I have to act now. I can't wait, because it may be messed up later for me to do that. And so the old saying was, don't quit a job before you have another one. That's old school. Things have changed a lot since all that has been valid. And at one point in time, I think it was valid. Years ago, 20 plus. Now things are different, a lot different, and so you have to adjust, as everybody has to adjust to the differences that are going on in this world. And so what I've learned is, things are just changing a lot, and a lot of traditional ways are kind of being thrown away. They're being outdated and replaced with other things. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do my version of this, and that is, I will rely on faith and understanding what all that means, because it's not just you pray and you allow for things to just fall in your lap. That doesn't mean that at all, and I know better. So with me, I take my spiritual following very seriously, and I'm very in tune with it. And so it's practicing is what I've been doing. And so what I do is I make sure that I'm doing the right things as much as I can, being a good student, and I'm learning, and I'm putting the things that I learn to action. I'm trying things out to see if they work for me and what doesn't, that kind of thing. And so, that's kind of what I've been doing. And so, as I've been telling you guys in some of my videos, it's just, not every job has been a good job. And I've had to find basically that ideal job. And ironically enough, I'm not going to say ironically enough, but as it was meant, because I did pray for the job that I'm at. I really wanted it for many reasons, and everything worked out as it is supposed to, evenly, and it was on time, and I've been enjoying the job ever since. Now, this job is meant for a reason, to help me to my goal in the bigger picture, because I need money for all of this to happen. And so this job allows me to have, to make good money for my bills, to save comfortably, and to have the freedom and enough time to do the things that I want or need to do, that I haven't normally had the chance and opportunities to do. So that is a huge sacrifice that even me as American, when nothing is guaranteed at all, I was able to do. And I did not have anybody to help me out. Because I had somebody that I was talking to earlier that was mentioning, oh, you have some, you got help and this and that and that and this. It was a pity party that they were trying to throw. And I was not about to go to that at all. So I was raised a very different way, a very strict way, no nonsense kind of way. Grew up poor, without a lot. And so I understood, that times weren't always going to be great. And, when times weren't great, which there seemed to have been a lot of them, then you had to just tough it out, make do with what you had or what you didn't. There were many times where I went that I did not have food, dinner, going to bed, or whatever the case was, So there was a lot that I had to do without growing up, and it was kind of the norm to some degree. So I know how to struggle. I've struggled quite a bit in my life, and and so when you have that, when you've been through that much struggling, you grow a thick skin, and things don't bother you, like they probably do others, and you see things differently, you react differently to certain things and stuff like that. And so it all kind of works itself out. You do learn. You learn how to move better. You learn how to approach situations better. And you're able to do that because you already know you've been at the bottom before. So the only way you can go is up. And so, you have to sacrifice, do things that ruffle your skin, that ruffle your feathers, that you're not comfortable with. You have to do those things sometimes, or even a lot of times in my situation. And so, it's humbling, but it's necessary. It's not always easy, but it is necessary. And the sooner that you do these things, the better, I believe. And so, these are some of the things that, I think about when it comes to, to moving and going to another country and stuff. And it's like, well, I do understand that, there's good and bad in everyone and in any place you go. Get that. But even with that being said, not everybody's problems are your problems. And it's not necessarily that way for everybody going both directions. Like people coming into the United States, it's different because the president is not wanting people to come to this country, or is wanting certain people to come to this country. And it's not like that for other countries. It's not like that going into Thailand. They're not sitting up there saying, oh, we don't want Americans to come over here. Maybe not so much, Americans that want to come over there for that ain't got nothing going on for themselves. That's understandable. Same way in, place like Brazil. They thrive off of tourism. Especially when they don't make that much money anyways. It's like we don't survive off of that kind of stuff here in America. So it is different of people coming into here. And so unlike us going elsewhere, where especially most of these countries, our money is still really good. Conversion rate is still extremely well. It's not like that coming to America. And so people aren't as accepted coming to this country. There's bad images, stereotypes, especially when it comes to South America. Our president is not real fond of South Americans as a group. There's his stereotypes and negativity that the media has really, expanded and been very biased as far as depictions, which that's Americans for you. Not me, of course, but anyways. And so it's not the same for both sides. It's just not. So as an American, we have the advantage for the most part, more than any other country, that, we can dang near go anywhere we want for the most part. At least most of the places that we want to go, we can go, because those places are not in as high end, or they're not as financially well off as America is, generally. And so they make a lot of their money off of the tourism, especially from America, Europe, places like that, you know what I'm saying? And so they cater to that. But so if you have the right intentions and stuff like that, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, because I heard some kind of messed up information about Brazil. I was like, what's up with all this negativity I'm hearing about Brazil? So I asked him about it. He was like, he said, that's just blown up talk, and basically he's like, look, I've been here for 10 plus years. He's like, I've never had an issue with the laws coming after me or stopping me or doing anything. And I'm just like, he's like, basically, if you just come in there and mind your business, you ain't, you're not wilding out and, getting crazy or, doing stupid stuff, then you're fine. The laws ain't there to find you. They're there to keep stuff in order. And if you're not looking like you're doing anything wrong, then they're not just gonna come and start bothering you and stuff like that, like the media portrays, or like certain people like fabricate these stories and stuff like that. And so again, I really appreciate, the fact that I have somebody that I can connect with who's actually there, that can give me the 411, the true 411 on these things, stuff like that. And so it's just like, it's crazy, man. And so basically at this point, I'm reconsidering my place that I'm going to, because I said this all off at the beginning, because I wanted to go to Brazil. A lot of reasons why, and a lot more reasons why than I did want to go anywhere else. Not just that, but comparing it to Thailand, I just, there's a lot that I did see in Thailand that I liked. I just, there's some things that I'm just not too sure about. There's a big cultural difference that I would have to overcome, and it might not be as easy as it may seem. And the only really big thing I would have to overcome for Brazil is the language, and that's not that big of a deal, because I already am speaking a decent amount of Portuguese. I can say most things, words, phrases. I can understand a lot of it, so I'm already kind of halfway there, so that's not a major thing. The culture is very beautiful. I really like the culture, and there's enough people that are like me there to where I can feel comfortable and, very welcoming. And I understand that even in a place like Brazil, it's not bad everywhere. There could be pockets, but I mean, I've never had that issue. I've never had any issue, even here in America, with bad areas. I've been through bad areas almost everywhere that I've been. Every city and state that I've been, I believe I've been to the bad areas, and I've never been bothered or singled out, or it's never been anything that was too much for me to handle. So I don't want to get caught up in horror stories and these crazy thoughts and stuff like that at all, because it's completely unnecessary. But yeah, so I got some good information from my buddy, and so now I think I'm back on board with Brazil. And he explained to me about the cost of visa, which is like, I didn't realize it was gonna be that cheap. So yeah, things are gonna be really good. But yeah, I'm just as all these things are happening in the world, I'm just like, look, I want to go somewhere where I can enjoy, I can enjoy my life, and I want to be somewhere where I want to be. I don't want to be somewhere that I'm like, I feel like I have no other choice. And at first, that's kind of what Thailand was. I was kind of feeling like that, because I really wanted to go to Brazil and everything. And so, but when I started hearing the bad stuff being talked about, I was considering something else. Then I was like, never mind. So yeah, but there's just a lot more there that I really see myself being able to enjoy with the nature and the food, the people, the activities and stuff like that. Um, you know, they have bigger fish to fry than to be messing with me or bothering me or anything like that and stuff. And so I'm not worried about anything. But yeah, just with all the stuff that's happening in this world, with all of the the craziness and stuff like that, what's going on over there in Israel, like a lot of this stuff is really becoming a serious ordeal. There's a lot of stuff happening that's going under the radar because of all of the other things that are kind of clouding people's judgments or distracting people. Well, it's interesting how just a few years ago we had this pandemic in this country or in the world, and all that stuff that was supposed to have happened from this pandemic. You had the vaccines, you had the booster shots and all this and that. You had a lot of discussions and pushback for people that were pro-vaccine versus people that were anti-vaccine and everything like this. And so there was a lot of stuff happening all at once, and there was a bunch of hurry up going on with the government and everything. But also in that, you heard a lot of people that were like asking just basic questions like, well, why? Well, hold up. But doesn't it normally? And they were really posing some good, deep, really educated questions that were not being answered in a educated way. They were being avoided. They were being hushed up. And the masses did not care for that. They rather just continue to be sheep and follow in this what everybody else was doing and what these people are telling them, just being scared. And all the while I'm thinking, well, I'm like, dang. I'm like, well, why even have a higher power if the higher power is not going to be great enough to keep you safe? Like, they can do anything else, but they can't keep you safe. Really? It never made any sense to me. So I took things just the more simple route. I had to. It just only made sense to me to do it that way, and so that's what I did. But I'm just like, there's a lot of stuff that was happening, and we had a choice. We either, had to, we either did this or did that, or didn't do that, or did, And so I keep things very simple. If it don't make sense, I don't want to be a part of it. Well, there was a lot of talk that was going on, when all this was happening, and there was a lot of talk, but there was a lot of kind of like trying to cover other people up, the masses, because there were a few people that were saying things differently. At the beginning of all this, I was like, well, why are these people saying differently about this? That really interested me. I had to find out why, because it was going against the grain on something that was apparently so serious. And why? That's the kind of person I am. I'd rather go with the few than the many. There's a reason that's that way. And there was a few people that were just making very much just common sense. Wasn't trying to make a big deal out of it. Wasn't trying to make it so complex because it didn't need to be. It was just a lot of common sense. But you had a bunch of people that were trying to use all these complex words and metaphors and you know, different analogies and explanations to do. It was just really to confuse you. It's just to confuse people. And it was working for a whole bunch. But I'm like how I was in grade school. I'm like, look, miss me with all of that. Let's get to the bone, the meat of this. Like, stop with all the other stuff. Get to the nitty gritty. I want to know about the bulk of this. Let's stop, you know, trying to confuse me with all this other stuff. Just get to the point. You know, and as I've told people, sacrifices to get what you want. Now, there was a lot of stuff going on back then. And if you did not comply, you possibly were without work and money and this and that. I didn't comply. Yes, I did lose my job. They had to finagle a way to do it, but they did it. No big deal. I had saved up a good amount of money. Went ahead and got me something else after that. Didn't worry about that because I knew I was doing something right. Had to stand on my business. Could not worry about what everybody else was doing and the scare tactics and this and that. Because a lot of that information, a lot of people missed. A lot of important information, a lot of people missed. And all I can do is feel sorry for y'all. But no. Because everybody had a chance. Everybody had a chance to do the right thing. But they didn't. And I'm going to say that. I did say that. Wasn't nobody, to my knowledge, forced with a gun to their head or a knife to their throat to do any of that. People willingly did what they did. Now, I knew this even before all this was going on, that there were some very, very deep and irreversible repercussions that were going to come from these things, from these decisions that people were being made to do. And when I heard about it, it didn't take me a lot of time to figure this out. Once I heard it the first time, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. There ain't no way. And there wasn't no way. There wasn't going to be no way. I'm like, look, they might as well kill me because I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to willingly mess with what the Most High has created with me. Now, you guys can take it any way you want to take it, of course, but that's my take on that. And so, years later, just the way it's supposed to happen, because they got what they wanted. They got the masses to fall for the Mickey. So now they lamping. But they're lamping for a reason, because you guys are forgetting about this stuff because of all this other stuff that's happening. But you guys don't understand. The storm is brewing within you and a big disaster is about to happen. It was already told. It was already told. And I was talking to somebody recently on social media. I was like, and they were like, well, the thing is, this is not supposed to happen right away. And it was exactly what I was told and heard about at the beginning of all this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But there's something else apparently that's joining forces. And when they explained that to me, I was like, oh shoot. And then I got another message from somebody on social media about something that was biblically related. And I was like, oh shoot. Because it lines up. It lines up. And I'm just like, wow. You know what? Yeah, we finna be in some wild, wild times. We ain't seen nothing yet. The worst is yet to come in this country, i.e. this world. So yes, I'm thinking about all this stuff, and at least I want to have a little bit of an experience of something peaceful and good, you know? And so it's like this, y'all. Everybody has their opinions, but one thing that I have noticed that I will encourage everybody out there that's watching my video or listening to this video to know is we are all individuals in this world. If you are at a point in your life where you comfortably and maturely and responsibly know better and can make changes for the better for yourself, there's no specific template. It's just because things are changing. And with all this individualness that is happening, that's been happening in this world, whether it's, technology, you're able to do everything on, so you don't have to rely on a human anymore. It's all, you got your AI, your Google and all that kind of stuff. So it's all, everything is really geared towards and geared for individualism. So take that aspect, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like, you know what, we're already doing it. Let's do it our way. We don't have to do it so much the way that they're talking about it. I mean, with all of the, like an example with my phone carrier, I stopped using, postpaid companies, 2 years ago, when I found out about, the prepaid companies as good. I was doing Boost Mobile for a moment, and they were okay until they started sucking a lot. And then I heard about Tello, and I did some research on Tello, and Tello has been just great ever since, and I've been using them ever since. I pay $25 for unlimited everything, and that's all I need. And I get great service, y'all. I really do. In the most places, wherever I go, I have great service. So save myself money on prepaid. I have a great phone, so I'm not missing out on anything on that. There's other ways I've heard that you can use your phone without having a SIM card. I think it's like text now. I'm going to look into that and see about that. And if that's something good, I'm going to save myself even more money by using that. Just, anything like, do what you want to do in your life. Don't worry about what other people think, because everybody's going to have their opinions, and some of those opinions are going to be against what you want to hear and want to know. And so, ultimately use your best judgment. I would also say, before anything, pray on any of your decisions or choices that you want to make. Pray first and be patient, and, just be mindful, be realistic, and make sure that you are focused on your goals, or your goal, whatever it may be, your achievements. Be focused on it. And you can have anything, and you can achieve anything in this world as that you want. No one understands that. I truly believe that, and that's why I'm doing what I want to do. I'm taking people's advice, I'm listening to people's advice, but ultimately it's my decision. And what works for one may not work for all. What doesn't work for this person doesn't mean it won't work for you. Everybody has their own lane. Maybe this person or these people had to do it this way. Cool for them. Maybe you don't have to. So don't necessarily believe wholeheartedly everything that somebody is saying to you or mentioning to you. They're literally giving you their idea, their opinion, the way they see it. And everything is different. You could be the difference in that whole thing. And so, it's good to have something to kind of, use as a kind of like as a template, but ultimately understand that you are you're an individual, and it may not have to go that way with you, or with anybody. So those are some of the things that I've been thinking about with all of this and trying to consider and stuff and everything. And so, but yeah, man, a lot's been going through my head, a lot of changes going on in this world, and I'm just kind of like over it. I want a new start. I want something, a new look, just be around new people, period. So I just figured, I just want to kind of do things my way. I don't want to be having to rely on the way other people, would think I should do it this way or whatever. Have your own lane and own that lane, So I've done a lot of research, done a lot of homework over the past week, figuring out some things, some online businesses, work from home type businesses that are always hiring. So I got a lot of stuff going on there. And I'm about to start learning, taking my Portuguese language courses again. So that's some things that are up and coming. Other than that, my week has been great. I go back to work tomorrow, but that's only going to be for 3 days. And then I have about a week and a half off. I'll be off from the 25th till the 7th of next month. So we're gonna have a nice little vacation there and stuff like that. But anyways, y'all, like, comment, subscribe on my video. Also hit the notification bell so that way you guys are aware and notified when I am uploading my videos. And I'm Real King, back at it again, y'all. Y'all have a good day.